$237 every month. That's what the average American between 18 and 34 is paying in subscriptions, right now, automatically, without clicking anything, without reviewing anything, without making a single conscious decision. And here's the part that should actually stress you out. Most of them can only name half of what they're paying for. The other half is just quietly leaving their account every month. Like a roommate who moved out but kept their key to your fridge. You never see them, but your food disappears. Now I need to be clear about something before we go any further. This is not a video about forgetting to cancel Netflix. This is about why you forgot. Why signing up takes 30 seconds and canceling takes 30 minutes. Why every major company on earth made this shift at the same time. And why they're never, ever going back. I'm going to show you the mechanism, the psychology behind it, the math behind it. And at the end, I'm going to show you the one thing companies actively bury inside their cancellation flows. A specific bypass that cuts through the entire maze in under 2 minutes. Most people never find it because they give up 3 clicks before they reach it. That's the payoff. Keep that in your back pocket. Not financial advice. Just 2 screens, a Red Bull, and a guy who actually read the fine print. All right, let's start with Tyler. Tyler is 26. He makes $58,000 a year before taxes. He works remote. He's got a budgeting app on his phone. He tracks his main categories. Tyler is reasonably careful. Tyler is not someone who just throws money at the wall. Tyler thinks he spends about $95 a month on subscriptions. Last month, Tyler's actual total was $279. The gap, $184, wasn't one big forgotten thing. It was 12 separate charges, some monthly, some annual, hitting at random mid-month intervals. Amounts mostly under $15 each, spread across 2 different cards, so no single statement ever looked suspicious. None of it tripped any mental alarm because none of it was big enough to trip an alarm. What was in that gap? A meditation app he used for 3 weeks in February. A cloud storage tier he upgraded during a work project that ended 6 months ago. A premium version of a weather app, $8.99 a month for weather, because the free version had too many ads one rainy Tuesday. An annual subscription to a document tool that auto-renewed 7 months after he stopped opening it. A workout streaming service he signed up for during a free trial and never formally canceled. A podcast platform with ad-free listening that he uses about twice a year. A news paywall he unlocked once to read a single article. 12 charges, none of them individually alarming. Together, $184 a month, silently, automatically, indefinitely. Tyler is not dumb. Tyler is not careless. Tyler is not the problem. Tyler was architecturally placed inside a system specifically designed to create exactly that gap. The gap isn't a bug. The gap is the product. And Tyler is not an outlier. A study from CNR Research, I read the actual methodology, not just the press release, found that the average subscriber underestimates their monthly subscription spend by 47%. 47. You think you're paying $125. You're paying $237. Let me translate that gap into real money over time. That difference, roughly $112 a month, is $1,344 a year. Not going toward rent, not food, not savings, not anything you consciously decided to buy, just automatically, silently, indefinitely flowing out to services you barely remember signing up for. Some of them you haven't opened since the last season of whatever show made you sign up in the first place. That's the trap. Now let me show you exactly how it was built. There's a term that started appearing in investor decks and earnings calls around 2012. Not subscription economy, that's the marketing name. That's the name they used when they were selling this model to consumers as a convenience upgrade. The real term, the one VCs and CFOs use internally, is recurring revenue extraction. Let me translate that from Wall Street to street terms. Old model. You want software? You pay for it. You own it. Company makes money once per sale. Transaction complete. You have the thing. They got your money. Clean. New model. You rent access to the software indefinitely. Company makes money every single month, forever, without making anything new. And they can raise the price, change the terms, quietly remove features, restructure the tiers, while you keep paying, because canceling and switching feels like more effort than staying on autopilot. This is why a major creative software company, you know exactly which one I'm talking about, killed the version of its flagship product you could buy outright for $300, and replaced it with a plan that now runs over $600 a year. Every year. Permanently. No ownership. No exit. You stop paying, you lose access to your own files in their format. This is why your antivirus is a subscription. Your cloud storage. Your project management tool. Your note-taking app. Your recipe app. Your fitness tracker stores your own workout data in their cloud, and you pay monthly to access your own history. Think about that last one for a second. Your data. Your history. You ran those miles. You logged those lifts. But they sit in a database you rent access to. Stop paying. They don't delete it right away. But you can't see it. You can't export it easily. You're just locked out of your own records. At some point, someone in a boardroom said, "What if instead of selling them a thing once, we charged them forever for permission to use the thing?" And a room full of investors said yes and wrote very large checks. That's the shift. That's what actually happened. And here's the part that gets me. The product didn't change. The extraction model did. The software you use to edit photos is the same software. The music library is the same 30 million songs. The cloud storage is the same server infrastructure. What changed is the contract between you and the company. They moved the ownership line. You no longer hold the asset. You hold a permission slip. And permission slips can be revoked, repriced, restructured, at their discretion, on their timeline. Now, here's where it goes from annoying corporate reality to something genuinely calculated and cold-blooded. Because the switch to subscriptions didn't come alone. It came with a playbook. And that playbook has a name in UX design circles. Dark patterns. A dark pattern is a design choice that makes you do something you didn't intend, or prevents you from doing something you absolutely intended. The subscription industry turned dark patterns into a full revenue science. They have dedicated teams, controlled experiments, performance metrics. This is systematic. Dark pattern 1. The cancellation maze. You decide to cancel. You go to account settings. There's no cancel button visible, anywhere. You click Manage Plan. New page. No cancel option. You click Billing. Useful for seeing what you owe, useless for stopping it. You click Help. Takes you to a FAQ page. You search the word Cancel. The instructions have 4 steps. You follow step 1. The interface looks nothing like the screenshot in the article. You open a new tab and Google it. You find a Reddit thread from 2 years ago. The steps are different now. The UI changed in a redesign. You spend 4 more minutes looking for the updated version. 11 minutes in. You close the tab. You'll deal with it later. You just paid another month. This is not a bug. These companies have dedicated retention teams, entire departments, whose single performance metric is measuring how much friction they can add to the cancellation flow before it starts meaningfully hurting brand reputation. They A/B test the confusion. Version A shows a straightforward cancel button. Version B routes you through 3 confirmation screens with emotional language. Version C adds a chat pop-up offering you a discount mid-flow. They measure which version produces the lowest monthly churn rate. They run the experiment across millions of users. They iterate. They publish internal case studies about it. One former SaaS retention specialist described it in an interview like this, and I'm paraphrasing. "We were explicitly told, the harder the cancellation flow, the lower the churn. We tested friction levels like a science. More friction meant more retained subscribers, which meant more revenue. That was the only metric that mattered. They ran controlled experiments to figure out precisely how frustrated and confused they could make you, while still keeping you from making enough noise to hurt them publicly. And they optimized for that exact threshold. This is engineering, aimed at your patience." Dark pattern 2, the annual lock. You sign up monthly, you use it. Couple months later, the app sends you an offer. Switch to annual billing and save 20%. Sounds smart. You calculate. Yeah, that's roughly $24 saved over the year. You switch. You feel like you made the clever move. Here's what they know from their own internal data, and this shows up in shareholder letters when they discuss retention cohort performance. Annual subscribers are 6 to 8 times less likely to cancel than monthly subscribers. 6 to 8 times less likely. That 20% discount is them paying you, with a portion of your own money, to lock yourself into a 12-month commitment instead of a 1-month commitment. They ran the numbers. They know the average annual subscriber who saves 20% ends up paying for the full year even though their active usage effectively drops to near zero, an average of 4 to 5 months before renewal. 4 to 5 months of paying for a service they're not opening. Automatically. Every year. The annual plan is not a deal for you, it's a deal for them. Here's the translation. They would rather cut their margin by 20% than risk you canceling next month. The discount is the price of your lock-in. They know the lock-in is worth far more than the discount costs them. That math is why the offer exists. Dark pattern 3. Price creep. Pick any major streaming platform from 2011 or 2012. It launched at $7.99 a month, or $8.99. Something that felt reasonable, almost cheap back then. The equivalent plan on that same platform now runs between $20 and $23 a month, depending on the tier. That's a 180% increase over 12 years. But they never did it all at once, because if they had, people would have canceled in waves and created a PR moment. Instead, they raised prices by $1 or $2 every 12 to 18 months, consistently below the threshold where most subscribers make a conscious decision to do something about it. By the time you're paying $22 a month, you've been walked there through 12 small steps. Each individual step was too small to trigger action. The cumulative effect is enormous, and largely invisible because it happened across years, not all at once. Behavioral psychologists call this the boiling frog effect. Subscription companies call it price optimization. The methodology is functionally identical. One is a biology experiment. The other is a revenue experiment. Both studied how much heat they could add before the subject reacted. And over the last 5 years, the numbers are consistent across the board. Productivity software subscriptions up 40 to 60%. Cloud storage plans up 60 to 90%. Streaming services, you already feel that one. Freemium apps that locked previously free features behind new paywalls. That's a price increase with a rebrand attached to make it feel like a product decision. The price creep is industry-wide. It's not coordinated through collusion. It's coordinated through the same investors sitting on multiple boards, seeing the same retention data, drawing the same conclusions, and deploying the same playbook. Dark pattern 4. The feature hostage. You've been using an app for 2 years. There's a specific feature inside it, the one you actually open the app for. It works. You rely on it. Then one day, there's an update notification. You tap through. New design. Clean. And then you look for that feature, and it's behind a locked icon. Your workflow didn't change. Your need didn't change. Only the pricing architecture changed, specifically restructured around the feature they identified as the primary retention driver. They surveyed their users. They analyzed usage patterns. They identified what makes people stay. They put that exact thing behind a higher paywall. It's not product development. It's not a new feature. It's taking something you already had and charging extra to keep having it. Feature extraction inside a subscription you're already paying for. All right, here's where some people want to go at this point. Boycott everything. Cancel it all. Return to one-time purchases and ownership. Off the grid. Cash only. I get the impulse, but that's not the move, and here's why. Some subscriptions are genuinely worth exactly what they cost. Some services you actually use every day would have cost you significantly more under the old model. I'm not telling you the subscription model is categorically broken for everyone always. I'm telling you 4 specific things that are true right now. 1. You are almost certainly paying for subscriptions you've genuinely forgotten exist. 2. You are being psychologically engineered, through tested dark patterns, to stay subscribed to things you don't actively use. 3. You are being repriced on a timeline specifically calibrated to stay just below your conscious threshold for taking action. 4. Features you already use are being progressively held hostage to push you into higher tiers you never agreed to and never evaluated. The solution isn't panic. The solution isn't maximalist rejection. The solution is information. Specifically, a cold audit run with a clear sequence, and one bypass move most people don't know exists. Here's the bypass first. Most people do not know this. Every major subscription service, if you reach customer support directly and state explicitly, in writing, via chat or email, "I want to cancel my subscription effective immediately. Please confirm cancellation in writing," is legally required in most jurisdictions to process that request. They cannot refuse a direct, explicit, written cancellation request. What they will do is try to retain you first. They'll offer a discount, a free month, a pause option, a downgrade, sometimes all 4. one after another, in a scripted sequence. You say, "No thank you," once, clearly, and they are required to cancel. The labyrinth in the account settings page is theater. Customer support is the actual exit. The reason most people never reach it? They spend 11 minutes in the settings maze and give up before they try the direct route. One more thing about this, go in writing. Chat or email, not phone. The phone path often includes a retention script specifically built around verbal hesitation. Long silences, countdown offers, emotional language about losing your progress or your history will be gone. In writing, you control the pace. You can read, think, respond. You can save the confirmation. Chat eliminates about 90% of the psychological pressure tactics. Always go written. Now, the audit. 15 minutes, 5 steps. Here's the exact sequence. Step 1. Pull your transaction history from the last 60 days across every card and account you actively use. Not 30 days, 60. Some services deliberately bill on 40 to 45-day cycles to avoid appearing in standard monthly statement reviews. They know when you're looking. They time around it. Look for any recurring charge. Sort by merchant name. Flag everything that repeats or looks unfamiliar, even if it's small, especially if it's small. Do not make decisions yet. Just build the complete list. This takes 5 minutes, maybe 6. Step 2. For every item on that list, one question only. Did I use this in the last 30 days? Not will I use it. Not I've been meaning to check it out. Not I remember liking it. Did I actively open it, use it, get value from it in the last 30 days? If the answer is no, cancel today. Not this weekend, not after you check it out once more. Today. Here's the principle behind that. If you didn't use it in 30 days, you won't use it in the next 30. The human brain doesn't spontaneously change behavior without a specific external trigger. I might use it soon has been your standing thought for months. It hasn't converted to action once. It won't this time either. Step 3. For everything you did use, check what tier you're on and what tier you actually need. Most people upgraded once, got value from the premium features for 2 or 3 weeks, then defaulted back to base-level usage while still paying the higher rate every month. Look at the features you're realistically using. If the base tier covers them, downgrade today. This applies especially to cloud storage. Most people are on the 200 gigabyte plan because they got a warning once when their phone said storage was full, cleared out some old photos, and haven't come within 50 gigabytes of the limit since. That was 18 months ago. They're still paying for space they never filled again. Step 4. Every annual subscription on your list. Add a calendar reminder for 2 weeks before its renewal date. Not the day it auto-renews. Not the week before. 2 weeks before. Because that is your actual decision window. The day it charges, the decision is already made for you. 2 weeks before the charge is when you still have full leverage. You can cancel, negotiate, evaluate a competitor, or consciously choose to stay. On the renewal day, you're just watching money leave. Step 5. Anything during this process that hits you as, I completely forgot that existed. Cancel it immediately, without deliberating. The fact that you forgot it existed is the only data point you need. You don't need to evaluate it. You don't need to take one more look. You forgot it was there. That is your answer. The guilt about wasting what you already paid is not a reason to keep paying more. That money is already gone. It's a sunk cost. The only live question is whether you lose more next month. 5 steps, 15 minutes. The average person who runs this audit finds between $40 and $90 in immediate monthly cancellations, charges they cut on the spot that day. That's up to $1,080 a year, recovered in 15 minutes. Last thing, because this is where the system gets its final move in, and I want you ready for it. Even after you run the audit, the extraction doesn't stop. It resets and restarts. Companies track cancellation behavior at population scale. They know the high churn windows. January, when people review annual spending and make fresh year decisions. The first of the month, right after a major expense hits. So their marketing teams schedule retention campaigns, price lock offers, new feature announcements, loyalty discounts, we miss you emails, to land precisely around those windows. New season dropping this month. The timing would be bad to cancel right now. Lock in your current rate before our price increases on the 1st. We noticed you haven't logged in. Here's 3 free months on us. These are not coincidences. These are timed counter moves against statistically predictable cancellation behavior. They have your churn probability score. They know when your likelihood of canceling spikes. They know when to intervene with exactly the right retention offer. The 3 free months offer that appears precisely when you were considering leaving. That's a retention algorithm, not generosity. They calculated that giving you 90 days free costs them less than losing you as a recurring revenue line, which means the audit is not a one-time reset. It's a quarterly habit, 4 times a year, 15 minutes each time, 1 hour total per year, against a system that runs against you continuously, with entire departments optimizing it every single week. 1 hour versus potentially over $1,000 in automatic invisible extraction. That math is not even close. Here's the frame I want to leave you with. The subscription economy is not a convenience upgrade. It's a revenue architecture, deliberately engineered around 4 specific human tendencies. Our tendency to forget what we agreed to months ago. Our psychological aversion to perceived loss, which makes canceling feel like losing something even when we're not using it. Our tolerance for small, incremental change that accumulates invisibly over years. And our deep, reliable discomfort with friction. So they built friction into the exit and built speed into the entry. And the asymmetry is the entire business model. These companies understood this before you did. They paid behavioral scientists to study it. They ran controlled experiments on real users to find the exact optimal level of friction that keeps you subscribed without creating enough anger to damage their brand. They hired retention teams whose compensation is tied to keeping you paying for services you're not actively using. You weren't careless with your money. You were extracted from, systematically, by design. The mechanism is now visible. The bypass is now in your hands. Customer support, in writing, is the real exit when the settings maze appears. The 2-week renewal reminder is the only way to reclaim your actual decision window. The quarterly audit is the counter-move to a system that resets every few months and hopes you forgot again. Run the audit. Use customer support when the maze appears. Set the renewal reminders. Come back in 90 days and run it again. My numbers are historical patterns from actual research. Your situation is yours. Your numbers are yours. Figure out what's genuinely worth it for you. I just showed you where the exits are and how the maze was built. Don't let them play you. Listen to what they're actually saying. Drop it in the comments. What's the most random subscription you found when you actually ran the audit? The one you completely forgot was charging you? I'll start. 11 months paying for a language learning app. I learned 4 words. The animated owl sent me exactly 0 concerned check-in emails, but the payment processor sure kept sending the charge through. Every single month, like clockwork.